What you see here is the model kit that we started with. It's 1984 GMC pickup by MPC. If you've watched some of the other model build videos in this series, you'll see that the subject matter of this particular build is a lot different than most of the other stuff that I've done. I can appreciate a lifted 4x4 truck just like I can appreciate a chopped and channeled Deuce Roadster. I'm going to get right into a couple of things that, and in my opinion, should be done in every build. But I'm going to use this delightful 1984 GMC MPC kit for instructional purposes. In this picture here, you'll see that body has been placed in primer, and you'll see the arrow pointing to an area on the cab where there was a seam mark from when the plastic mold was made. That needs to come off. There's one on each side at the top part of the B pillar on the cab, and that absolutely needs to come off. And the reason for that is because it's not there on the real vehicle. In this particular picture, you will see that the two engine block and transmission pieces have been glued together. And once again, in this picture, you will see that there are arrows pointing at multiple locations, particularly on the transmission. What those were pointing out were the seams where the two halves came together. Once again, these got sanded smooth because they're not there on a real vehicle. So these are a couple of things that I think should be done on every model kit to give it a little bit more of a realistic flair. There's nothing worse than seeing something that looks like a really, really nice build and then taking a closer look at it and maybe even flipping it over and seeing that there's a bunch of seams everywhere that should have been sanded out. The block halves and the transmission halves when they were first glued together, revealing that seam that I had just spoke of. Here on the rear differential, we have the same situation, where the two pieces of the differential are glued together to form the axle assembly. It reveals a seam. Once again, this is an area that is not like this on a actual vehicle and should be sanded smooth. One of the other things that needs to be removed as well is a lot of times on many kits, when you take a look at the undercarriage, the chassis, so to speak, there's usually some proprietary marks on there. Are usually going to be the year that the mold and the model were made, and there might even be a notation of the manufacturer of the model kit. Those are also things that need to be removed. When you look at the bottom of that vehicle, that model, and these are all very simple things to do, but they add a little bit more realism and detail to your builds. These are the large tires that came with this model kit for the 4x4 setup. As you can see in this picture, I usually, on all my builds, I will take a little bit of sandpaper or file or something along those lines and kind of scuff the tread on the rubber tires. It kind of gives it a little bit more of a realistic and used look. This particular set of tires, quite frankly, sucks. No matter what you do with it, you still have this massive seam running right down the center of the tire that makes it look completely unrealistic to me. And if you want to try to sand that out, you will sand the tread off of the tire, and then it'll look even more stupider. The kit comes with a small block Chevy, say 350, automatic trans, and as you can see in this picture, the transfer case has been mounted to the trans for that four-wheel drive system. You will see that other than just detail painting this particular engine assembly, there is no other detailing done on this. And the reason for that will become more clear in the future events on this here build video. This is the assembled chassis and suspension for this here 1984 GMC pickup kit. I don't have a whole lot to say about this. I did not do much modification to this other than, as I mentioned before, get some of the seams off of the frame, because they're not really there, and also to eliminate any markings from the manufacturer as far as copyright dates, and just to smooth it out to kind of make it look a little bit more realistic. Here you're just seeing everything that has been painted and assembled. This build is virtually out of the box stock. So here you can see the motor and trans and everything has been installed. All the suspension pieces are in place. The wheels and tires are on there, and the exhaust system. One of the things that I really didn't like about this kit was the fact that the drive shafts don't fit properly. They're too short, and you cannot even really establish the correct angle. My personal feeling on this is if you really wanted to get into it and modify the drive shafts to make them fit correctly and look correct, that's fine. But my personal opinion on a model kit like this is the kind of stuff that should come from the factory and actually fit correct. So here's the cab after primer and a shot of flat black on there. When I was thinking about colors for this particular kit, just like any other kit, I kind of don't necessarily go by what they have shown on the box art. Sometimes I get different ideas in my head how things will look. But in this case, the color used on the box art was black. And as I started thinking about it, I thought, you know what, that's actually probably a good color to use for this build. I think it matches what the truck is. I thought it would look pretty good in black. I have not built a black model kit in quite a while, so I figured I would do it with this one. It is, again, the lack of realism. So in this picture here of the bed, you can kind of see down in front of the rear wheel opening. You can kind of see where the relief is, which would be the door to fill the vehicle with gas. There is one on each side of the bed, molded into each side of the bed. But if you look at the undercarriage, there is only one tank on the undercarriage. I would think that because there's two doors on it, there should be two gas tanks. Now, I am far from an expert on actual 1984 GMC four-wheel drive pickup trucks, so maybe my head is up my ass. That's a good possibility. So the interior of this was pretty straightforward, and I kind of did not want to do black interior, at least not a full black interior, because I thought it would get lost. One of the things that I've been trying to do over the course of the last couple of years is not do black interiors, just because I think a lot of detail gets lost in them. So what I've been doing is trying to find a color that matches or contrasts but still matches the body color. In this case, as you can see, this interior is red. I think it actually matches with the build correctly. Little detailing here, little painting and whatnot, and I put a little CB radio action in there. So, you know, because what kind of four-wheel drive pickup truck should not have a CB radio? You will see the assembled model kit. Everything assembled, which in and of itself is kind of tricky because the fact that the chassis was warped, you really have to mess around to get the bed on here to sit correctly and get the body lines from the cab to the bed to line up correct. It's kind of a pain. And in this particular picture, what you'll see is it's flat black with the decals on it and all the little detail painting and whatnot. Got the brush guards on the front, a little tow winch with a little shit hook action going on there to roll bars in. Everything here at this point is done. The chrome foil has been applied. Wasn't quite sure how I felt about flat black, so I went and decided I was going to clear coat this model. But I clear coated it with floor polish. I had read some stuff and heard some comments and whatnot that floor polish works great for clear coating models. Well, here's a picture of this model with floor polish applied to it. Now, you can take it however you want. My personal feeling on it is this: it sucks. I'd rather just use a spray of some sort, or at that point, just use a single stage paint, a lacquer that's already going to give you that gloss. I don't think that this looks right. In fact, I think it looks pretty shitty. And the clear was applied with a brush. Okay, it was not sprayed, and the reason for that is this stuff is considered self-leveling. Unless you really slop it on, you won't get runs in it, and it dries pretty quick, and you won't see any brush strokes in it. When you apply it, finish of it should come out just fine. Again, you won't see any brush strokes in it. I don't know that I'm going to use this method again, but I thought it was worth a try just to see how it would work, because some of the clear coats that I use, they get a little bit of a nasty smell to them, and I don't want to stink up the joint. As I mentioned earlier, when I first opened this kit and was looking at it, I thought it looked pretty good. I thought it had some nice details in it. Little did I know that it was going to be such an absolutely tedious build that it basically made me not want to build model kits anymore. That's how bad this kit is. But in this particular picture, you can see a little shot of the interior there. For example, in that console, there's cup holders there, and I thought it would have been cool to make a little soda can to put in one of those things. But you know what? By the time I got halfway through this build, I said to hell with that, because at that point, I just wanted to get this thing done and off my workbench because it irritated the hell out of me. This MPC 1984 GMC pickup kit sucks.
That's right, it sucks.
The fit and finish and quality of everything in this kit is mind-blowingly poor. When I first unboxed this kit and took a look at the parts inside, I thought to myself, this looks like it's going to be a pretty neat kit. There were some nice little items that came in there that I don't normally see in other kits that I thought would be pretty cool for detail purposes and whatnot. The biggest problem is, as you get into this build, or at least as I got into this build, I started to find that hardly any of the parts fit correctly. Everything is a cluster across the board with this model kit. The chassis warped. The instructions are totally unclear on how the suspension components are supposed to mount to the frame, so you kind of have to mess around with that to figure it out. The tires are just ridiculous on it as far as that seam down the center that makes it look trash. The exhaust system doesn't fit well. Like I mentioned, the drive shafts are too short and they don't let you adjust the pinion angle to actually make it look like it's able to function. This entire kit is trash in my opinion. I think it sucks, and I should know better at this point than to buy an MPC kit. I understand that it's a re-release. I get that. But they're still using the same old molds that they were using when this kit was originally released, and MPC kits, in my opinion, are notorious for being shitty with their flashing on the part sprues. They've always been like that. That's why I haven't built an MPC model in quite a few years. A funny car build, the quality of the model from front to back, including the decals, sucked.
That's right, it sucks.
It sucked. I just expect a little bit more what we pay for model kits anymore. I expect them to be a little bit better. This was annoying. Nothing fit correctly. Flashing in this kit was ridiculous. It's just not a good kit, in my not so humble opinion. The kit sucks. I am done with MPC kits. 100% finished with them. I don't care what the topic, the subject matter is. It's just not going to happen. This is 2 in a row from MPC that were absolutely garbage to try to build.
Nice fucking model!